It's a lovely good evening. Today, the 10th of July 2023. My name is Jeffrey Zembo to present Camnet Television Main News. Our top stories in the news tonight: the UPND in Lusaka accuses PF of unleashing CADRES to harass motorists and traders. A power outage disrupts court sessions at the Lusaka Magistrates Court. Private Security Companies Association concerned with a high number of criminal activities at shopping malls. In international news, rare snow stuns South Africans during a cold snap. And in sports news, Copper Queens arrive in New Zealand for the FIFA Women's World Cup.
On Monday, 10th July 2023, on National Matters, we take a look at human rights concerns in Zambia. Join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
Our role is to be constructive, to help build the country. We are not hostile, we are not political enemies. For us, the rivalry that we share is just to ensure that this country is run better.
Ministry of Information and Media Director spokesperson Tawo Kawana.
There is construction going on in every constituency in Zambia.
And Zambia Police spokesperson Ray Hamonga.
People have been issuing derogatory statement against the head of state, defamation statement, bordering on defamation. We have just gone to pigeon like a fish, just get them and take them, bring the police, and they're arrested.
Invite others to participate through phoning, on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a dent with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Get all the latest updates in court news only on Camnet TV. We take you and make you feel part of the court sessions through our in-depth coverage of the adjudication process. Get informed on those who have been arrested, delayed and denied the police bond or bail victims, persons taking plea, court adjournments, verdicts, and those administration issues in the judiciary. Camnet TV is on channel 274 on DSTV, channel 25 on GoTV, and find us on channel 106 on Topstar. You can also follow and give us a like on our social media platforms. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Hello again, the news in detail. Many court cases at the Lusaka Magistrate Court were disrupted Monday morning following a power outage. One of the prominent cases also disrupted is the one involving independent Lumezi area member of Parliament, Munia Zulu. Mr. Zulu was scheduled to appear before his bail hearing before Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiweli, but failed to do so due to a power cut. Mr. Zulu is currently in custody and was among many inmates that were not taken to court. The lawmaker was last week remanded in custody after the court revoked his police bond. However, he appealed for bail. This is in a matter in which Mr. Zulu is accused of libel for allegedly issuing defamatory remarks against Finance Minister Stumbeko Msokotwane, his infrastructure counterpart Charles Melope, and RDA board chairperson Mauchand Kuntawala. More in this report.
A power outage at the Lusaka Magistrate Court disrupted many cases on Monday, among them involving the independent Lumezi area member of Parliament, Munia Zulu. Most cases received early adjournments following a power cut and lack of water at the subordinate court. Due to this, all those in correctional facilities were not taken to court. Among them, Mr. Zulu, who was scheduled to appear this morning for his bail ruling. Based on this, Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiweli has adjourned the case to Tuesday, the 11th of July 2023 for a ruling on Mr. Munia Zulu bail application. On Friday last week, the 7th of July 2023, Magistrate Chiweli fined Mr. Zulu 200 kwacha after finding him guilty of contempt of court. This was following his failure to appear before him twice. The court had issued a bench warrant against him and revoked his police bond after finding him guilty of contempt of court. The outspoken lawmaker is appearing before the subordinate court on charges of libel after he accused Minister of Finance, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, and his infrastructure and urban development counterpart Charles Melope of receiving bribes. This is in relation to the Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway. The ruling on the bail application by the court will either determine whether the accused will be granted the plea. In an event the Lumezi lawmaker is granted plea, he still has few days to spend in custody following a decision by another magistrate to issue a bench warrant against him, which is returnable on the 18th of July 2023. Mr. Muniya Zulu was issued with a bench warrant after he failed to fulfill his pledge as a surety of former presidential political advisor Kaiser Zulu. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
A transport officer at the Ministry of Finance has told the Lusaka Magistrate Court that he is not aware if a motor vehicle that was allocated to former Secretary to the Treasury Fred Sonyamba was used for personal activities. Scofford Makwenda, 46, testified that in 2019 he found 2 vehicles that were being used at the office of the Treasury. This is in a matter in which a coordinator at the National Authorizing Office to the European Development Fund, Chasia Kazembe, is charged with 7 counts of conspiring to defraud the government and abuse of authority of office, among other charges. Kazembe is jointly charged with Lusaka lawyer Walia Chiti and an entrepreneur and former project officer at the Ministry of Health, Mwansa Chitoshi. Allegations in the first count are that Kazembe, Chitoshi and Chiti, between June 1, 2018 and December 31, 2019 in Lusaka, jointly and whilst acting together, conspired to defraud the government a sum of 800,000 United States dollars. In the other count, allegations are that Ms. Kazembe, between January 1, 2019 and December 31, 2020, during her tenure as coordinator at the National Authorizing Office of the European Development Fund under the Ministry of Finance, abused the authority of office by using her position to obtain an advantage or benefit from Fred Sonyamba by allocating a motor vehicle to him from National Authorizing Office of the European Development Fund. The matter has been adjourned to July 26, 2023. The Lusaka Magistrate Court has conducted a circuit session on the Lusaka premises where 3 properties deemed to be proceeds of crime were purchased. The properties in question, among them houses, are situated in Lusaka's Silverus area, allegedly belonging to Francis Muchemwa, also known as Commander 2. Lusaka Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chibali led a procession to view the properties on the scene. This is in a matter in which Mr. Muchemwa is jointly charged with 2 others and charged with 15 different offences relating to money laundering. Allegations are that the accused is in possession of property worth over 12 million kwacha suspected of being proceeds of crime. More in this report.
State witness Claudia Chibiliti, who is also an Anti-Corruption Commission investigative officer, Monday, the 10th of July 2023, led the Lusaka Magistrate Court in properties said to have allegedly been corruptly gained by a Lusaka businessman, Francis Muchemwa, popularly known as Commander 2. This is in a continued trial in a case in which Mr. Muchemwa is jointly charged with 2 others with 15 counts relating to money laundering, among others. The accused is also charged with possession of property worth over 12 million kwacha, suspected of being proceeds of crime. During the scene visit this morning, the Lusaka Magistrate Court learned that all the 3 properties have been identified, among them a 4-bedroom house, Attitude apartment and an unfinished building have been seized and currently in control and custody of the Anti-Corruption Commission. According to the witness, the properties in question are allegedly deemed to have been corruptly acquired. The state accuses Mr. Muchemwa of allegedly possessing property number L/26392/M, a dwelling house valued at 2.5 million kwacha, located in Silverest area, Chongwe, and another property number L/26395M, apartments valued at 4.5 million kwacha in Silverest, Chongwe. Allegations in the 4th count alleges that Mr. Muchemwa jointly and whilst acting together with Attitude Properties Limited between January 1st, 2015 and August 31st, 2022 did possess a truck registration number BAR 9059ZM. The matter continues on the 17th of July 2023. Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
United Party for National Development, UPND Lusaka Province Chairman Obvious Maliteta has accused the opposition Patriotic Front of unleashing CADRES to harass motorists and marketeers in some parts of Lusaka. Mr. Maliteta says youths who are mounting roadblocks and soliciting money from members of the general public have no blessings of the party. The Lusaka Province UPND Youth Chairman says his party will start effecting citizens' arrests on alleged PF cadres who want to dent the image of President Hakainde Hichilema. He says President Hichilema has been categorical that acts of violence and lawlessness will not be condoned under his leadership. Details in this report.
Not so long ago, cadres were in charge of everything in Zambia as citizens and law enforcement wings were left to be spectators on illegalities that took prominence prior to the August 12, 2021 general election. Markets and bus stations were being controlled by cadres, leaving councils with little resources and surviving through the equalization fund. And upon taking over office, Republican President Hakainde Hichilema warned that acts of impunity will not be allowed to thrive.
Our youth leaders across the country, do not be the enemy of your own government. Do not undermine your own party. Do not become the new thugs in town.
Meanwhile, slowly but sure, acts of lawlessness have begun resurfacing as cadres take advantage of what many have described as docile councils and have started conducting illegal activities in communities and public facilities. Cowboys who solicit for money from motorists have gone back to the routine, and certainly Lusaka still has a number of illegal bus stations being run by cadres under the watch of the local authority. United Party for National Development, UPND Lusaka Province Chairman Obvious Maliteta has accused the opposition Patriotic Front of unleashing cadres to start conducting illegal activities to undermine the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema.
From all over Lusaka, especially Yellow Shop and the other areas, that youths, they've started mounting roadblocks. And in my market, Bambovuta, my youth. When we received those complaints, we had gone on the ground to investigate in Chantichitikapa ground. We came to discover that it's the desperation of PF. PF have now gone back in the streets. Batenga mayuthi bao na kubauza kuti UPND is very peaceful. No one will harass you. And then mwende mu stations, and then mu roads start mounting roadblocks, illegal roadblocks, so that bantu baone kuti UPND now is misbehaving, because they've realized that they were chased by Zambian people because of cadres. So manje by cadres, those rotten cadres from PF.
He says anyone using the name of the party and the UPND regalia to commit crimes must be reported to the police.
I want to urge the people, the marketeers, the people affected, you bus drivers. If you see anyone mounting a roadblock, whether in UPND regalia, whichever regalia it is, please, you should affect citizen arrest. We have a clear instructions from the president, from the word go. No youth, no any other person is allowed to go in the markets, is allowed to mount a roadblock, is allowed to take any levy or to misbehave. No cadreism of thuggery. We you as UPND tina makadazi baulemu tube makadazi waja wakabwalala. So wakabwalala wa PF manje wambobale takulive, so that when they go in the markets, they should go and buy people to complain against us. No, maona wa UPND manje wakangiwa. They've started bringing people. What's makadazi tavutika na makadazi? Those cadres in city market, those cadres elsewhere, they are not our cadres.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Transparency International Zambia, TIZ, has charged that no political official alleged to be involved in corruption activities should be shielded because of defecting or joining the ruling party. TIZ Executive Director Maurice Nyambe says the country should exhibit seriousness in fighting corruption regardless of circumstances surrounding the alleged victims. Mr. Nyambe says there is need to have a sustainable mechanism that will ensure that the corruption fight is a success. Nelson Zulu reports.
While the fight against corruption charges at those in the wheels of power and drivers of the previous government, in this regard, Some political players have been switching political camps for reasons that range from looking for greener pastures to dodging alleged corrupt cases that may be leveled against them. But Transparency International Zambia, while commending the arrest of the former Luapula Province Minister Derek Chulindika for alleged illegal mining of sugilite, has challenged the Anti-Corruption Commission of Zambia to be steadfast on politicians that want to side with the government because of their alleged corrupt practices to be dropped. TIZ Executive Director Maurice Nyambe says the corruption fight in the country should be blind and holistic, despite officials that may join the ruling UPND to dodge alleged corrupt charges.
Players jumping from one party to another, or rather to the ruling party, with a view, to have their alleged corruption activities maybe shielded. I think that would be something that would be of very big concern to us. But also, just speaking about the fight against corruption under the current regime, I think we have seen some instances, particularly talking about the situation in Luapula Province. We have seen instances where members of the ruling party have actually been taken to task and have actually been arrested for their alleged involvement in activities to do with corruption. And so one would hope that it is a misguided notion that if you go to the ruling party, then your cases will be shielded. I think that what we have seen so far certainly seems to suggest that there are no sacred cows that are being, left scot-free when it comes to the fight against corruption.
Mr. Nyambe has also called for a sustainable approach to fighting corruption in the country to amass the needed success. He says imploring timely interventions such as heightened investigations on all cases related to corruption is key. Mr. Nyambe says intensifying investigation on corrupt cases, regardless of the faces involved, will ensure success is recorded in the fight against corruption in the country.
You need to look at the unique features of each and every case, because one approach that you use in this particular instance may not be the best approach to use in another instance. Are you talking about, for example, recovery of stolen property? Are you talking about a recovery of stolen assets? Are you talking about going the prosecution route? So there are many different dimensions to it, and there are many different ways in which it can be fought. I think the important thing is to see to it that whatever approach is taken in any particular case, it is an approach that is informed by a good analysis as well as a good due diligence that will have been done to ensure that that approach actually yields the sort of success that we want to see it yielding. Whether that success means convictions being secured, whether that success means the stolen resources are being returned, whatever approach it is. But the point is that we should do our due diligence to ensure that we are actually succeeding with whatever approach we have taken.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
Private Security Companies Association of Zambia President Francis Mukuka is dismayed that criminal activities have continued to take place at shopping malls that are manned by private security companies. Mr. Mukuka is disappointed that last week 4 criminals robbed a named Chinese national of 500,000 kwacha at Central Mall in Lusaka. Mr. Mukuka has challenged security companies to improve service provision by coming up with effective strategies to mitigate criminal activities at shopping malls. Here's a report.
Shopping malls are becoming the most unconducive places to visit in Zambia, as criminals have seen an opportunity to rob unsuspecting members of the general public. Parking vehicles in these facilities is a huge risk one has to undertake. The Zambia police has continued to unveil agonizing stories of people losing their belongings in broad daylight. The story of a Chinese national who was robbed of over 500,000 kwacha at Kabulonga Mall in Lusaka is among those that have left many shocked and wonder if at all security companies manning these facilities deserve to be paid for the services, or maybe the frustration of the law and untimely wages is compromising their ability to fulfill their responsibility. Private Security Companies Association of Zambia President Francis Mukuka is saddened that criminal activities have continued to take place at shopping malls that are manned by private security companies.
Where we know to say we have security companies that are providing security services at the mall. And of recent years, these criminals have targeted the malls. This means that we as security companies that are providing security in this mall should actually try to come up with a proper strategy on how to protect these clients, to protect their vehicles, also the movements of the clients within the mall. Look at the incidents that happened there. What we was expecting even to capture even a number plate for those for that vehicle that these criminals were driving. So that even when the police visit the scene, they will have somewhere where to start from.
And Mr. Mukuka has challenged security companies to improve service provision.
But look at how the arrangement at the mall. So these criminals were parked, and it seems, although we are not sure, but it seems that as we know, the security personnel at the malls, they always direct us where to park. And it was unfortunately that this our Chinese went and parked next to where the criminals were parking. Look at this. Look at how these things happened. And we are urging all security companies that are providing security company, not only at the malls, but let's try to strategize in the malls, that filling stations, so that even in some of these companies, so that we should, our security guards should be ever alert, so that they can try to protect clients from experiencing this kind of robbery.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Government says it is working on modalities to clear off all salary arrears for local authorities that have not been paid for 3 months now. Local Government Permanent Secretary for Technical Services Nicholas Piri tells Camnet News that most local authorities in the country have shortfalls in collecting revenue. He says in order to maximize revenue collection at local authorities in the country, the ministry is correcting the inefficiencies while addressing the non-payment of the workers. Mr. Piri has assured the council workers that the process of paying the salaries in arrears will soon be finalized. Here's a report.
You're losing revenue. You're sitting on revenue. We've removed CADRES from markets. We've handed markets to you. You are still not collecting revenue. What's the problem? Lusaka City, you are sitting on a lot of cash. Why are salaries behind?
For years, non-payment of local authority workers in Zambia has been a thorn in the flesh of those in the wheels of power. On 31st May 2023, Wednesday, and 2nd June Friday 2023, council workers were on the neck of Lusaka City Council demanding payment of their dues for over 3 months, despite Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Garin Kombo, assuring the workers that payment was going to be done.
No any benefit in my life. So what I want is my money.
So please to papata. But bamdala bakabwere pano ba HH. Baka peze pankana na chongo banigwira na mu maovalo. Veze funa kunimenya. Banimenya. Chifuko cha kuti nina njara nifuna na ndarama zanga nina marai.
But 41 days down the line, from 31st May 2023, reliable sources at Lusaka City Council have confirmed to this journalist that despite the assurances some payment to their dues has not been made, they question the government's stance on the issue. Meanwhile, Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary in charge of Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, says the ministry is undertaking a methodical and systematic long-lasting solution to the matter.
And especially the Lusaka City Council. But we have to tackle this issue in its totality. So I wish to confirm that in the interim, the local authorities, including Lusaka, are doing everything possible to close in the salary gap, to reduce the arrears from 3 months. I think now they're sitting maybe at 1 month or so. But going forward, government is exploring modalities and means and ways of making sure that the collection efficiency of revenue is improved.
The Permanent Secretary also highlights that there are various challenges surrounding low revenue generation among local authorities countrywide. Mr. Piri says government resolves to bridge the challenges and safeguard the plight of local authority workers in the country.
As of now, our collection efficiency is somewhere around 50%, less than 60% actually, and that is far less So what government is looking at are long-term solutions, which includes digitalizing the collection of revenue so that there's less interaction between humans and cash. And we are very sure that once we take that measure, which we are taking very soon, this issue of salaries will be addressed holistically. So on one hand, you would have no cadres in the markets. On the other hand, the means, the systems for collecting revenue would have improved. And I think that will give us a permanent solution to the issue that we are grappling with now.
Workers at various local authorities hope for a better tomorrow when non-payment of salaries is addressed. For now, everyone awaits the results of the government steps being undertaken. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
United Party for National Development, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda has commended the Mumba local leadership on how the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, has been utilized in the district. Speaking yesterday during his countrywide Constituency Development Fund monitoring tour, the ruling UPND Chief Executive Officer said he was pleased to witness the progress of CDF projects, skills development and loans disbursement in the district. The party CEO further called on all the local leadership to remain strong and united as they diligently serve the local people. Mr. Imenda was amused to note that before the UPND government, most of the projects were constructed by the communities themselves without any government effort. Yesterday, the UPND Secretary General toured different projects in Nangoma and Mumba constituencies respectively, where he inspected the construction of Nangoma Health Posts in Nangoma Ward, the construction of a semi-detached 1-by-3 bedroomed house for teachers at Kantengwa Primary School, a newly constructed 1-by-3 classroom block at Wuyuni Primary School, among other projects.
As we have told you as New Dawn government that we are going to apply economic diplomacy, and in that regard, we will make sure the development will reach you. President Akainde said, we are going to make sure that education becomes #1 in our developmental strategies. And to actualize his words, he made sure that he declared education free. Actualize his words, he made sure that 30,000 teachers were employed so that they can teach the children that were coming from the villages to come and report for the first time after running away for a long time. President Hakainde Hichilema has also gone to the extent of realizing that as the numbers are increasing of the children coming back from homes to come back to report at school, they will need to sit on the desks. We have actually come to accept that education, that as children come to school, they will sit on the floor. President Akainde says no child by end of December will ever sit on the floor.
Economist Trevor Hambai has challenged parliamentarians to bury political party lines when reviewing the country's borrowing plans. Mr. Hambai says the country is in a debt crisis because parliamentarians failed on its mandate of reviewing the country's borrowing threshold as per the Public Debt Management Act of 2022. Mr. Hambai believes that the Financial Management Act being put in place will not address the acquisition of debt in the country because parliamentarians opt to decide on the debt issue on party lines while disregarding the interests of the majority Zambians. Mr. Hambai is saddened that despite having more pieces of legislation on acquiring debt, there is no guarantee that debt contraction in the country will be controlled.
Providing oversight to government's borrowing is a very paramount one. Firstly, what you must look at is the historic position that we are in, is that the reason this country is in this debt crisis is that Parliament failed to carry out the judicial responsibility of ensuring that we maintained their borrowing thresholds. Is that Parliament should have been able to review this and determine what our position was in terms of having to repay the debt. If they had done their work, we would not be in this position. So essentially now, yes, we've been talking about the new Financial Management Act that they're putting in terms of debt contraction, and I think we are still in the same position that I do not think that the act on its own is going to prevent the country from having to borrow. The key fundamental issue around this is that there is a lot of acts, which is bills that are passed in Parliament, not on the basis of whether the bill is good or not, but on the basis of allegiance of party, that you are required to vote yes because you belong to a specific party. And this is an issue that we need to be able to deal with within our constitution. Because if we continue on this path, then the Parliament is not carrying the interest of the people, but the interest of the party. And this is a challenge that we do face around whether we are still in a good position to be able to deal with our debt contraction issues.
This is Camnet Television News. We take a break. Join us for more news after the break.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
On Monday, 10th July 2023 on National Matters, we take a look at human rights concerns in Zambia. Join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
Our role is to be constructive, to help build the country. We are not hostile, we are not political enemies. For us, the rivalry that we share is just to ensure that this country is run better.
Ministry of Information and Media Director Spokesperson Tawo Kawana.
There is construction going on in every constituency in Zambia.
And Zambia Police Spokesperson Ray Hamonga.
People have been issuing derogatory statement against the head of state, defamation statement, bordering on defamation. We have just gone to pigeon like a fish, just get them and take them and bring the police, and they're arrested.
Invite others to participate through phoning, on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp and text messages. Make a dent with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Renglow, your smart irrigation partner.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. The Engineering Institution of Zambia, EIZ, says it is committed to contributing to Zambia's sustainable development in the area of climate change. Recently, Minister of Green Economy and Environment Collins Nzovu challenged the engineering body to consider going green on their projects and take the lead in ensuring that the principles of cost and timeliness are upheld, especially in these times of climate change. And the institution's public relations and marketing manager, Natasha Mutale, says they are already playing a critical role to ensure that development is in tune with the changing times. She tells Camnet News that the institution has made recommendations on how the issue of drainages can be addressed in the greater city of Lusaka.
We talk about planning. Planning is very, very important before constructing, constructing any project, especially when it comes to drainage system. Because year in, year out, the floods come, the floods go. So what do? We did make a recommendation just earlier this year that we need a standalone project, especially for the urban areas where that will have a supplementary budget on its own, so that these systems, the drainage systems, can be upgraded, to withstand the pressures of climate change. So we've recommended that these projects should be done and should be done now, and also we've recommended that there should be upgrading of the projects, because obviously projects become obsolete over time, and different things affect that. So it's really all about planning, proper planning, and also upgrading of the infrastructure, and especially maintenance of the infrastructure. Yeah. And apart from that, Patrick, you see, as our mandate, we continue monitoring what our engineering professionals are doing out there. We've got a great team that goes on site almost every time to see what are our members doing. Are they doing, good works? Are they being ethical? Are they being professional in their work? What kind of infrastructure are they building? Are they meeting the exact specifications that are required to construct this infrastructure? How safe is this infrastructure? That's our duty, and we go about monitoring, ensuring that our members are carrying out good works, are being professional, they are being ethical, and then these works are also being climate change resilient.
The Tobacco Free Association of Zambia has called on government to increase taxes on tobacco products in a bid to reduce tobacco use and generate revenue for national development. Association Executive Director Brenda Chitindi notes that currently Zambia loses 2.8 billion kwacha to tobacco-related health expenditures, which is about 1.2% of the gross domestic product, GDP. Ms. Chitindi is also of the view that the revenue from tobacco taxes can be directed towards improving the budgets of the Ministry of Health, National Cancer Hospital, National Heart Hospital, and high referral specialist teaching hospitals. She says despite the tax not being adequate to offset the national debt, it would help ensure the national resources are not spent on preventable health expenditures due to tobacco use.
Tobacco Free Association of Zambia commends President Hakainde Hichilema on successful debt restructuring. The Tobacco Free Association of Zambia extends its congratulations to His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema for the successful debt restructuring negotiations with the country's official creditors committee. This achievement provides Zambia with a much-needed respite. Tobacco-related health expenditures cost the Zambia economy 2.8 billion annually, equivalent to 1.2% of the gross domestic product's GDP. Increasing excise taxes on tobacco products is a highly effective measure to reduce tobacco use and generate government revenue for national development priorities. The 2015 Addis Ababa Action Agenda on Financing for Development, supported by United Nations member states, recognizes price and tax measures on tobacco as an important and underutilized revenue to finance national development efforts. In Zambia, revenue from tobacco taxes can be directed towards bolstering the budgets of the Ministry of Health, National Cancer Hospital, National Heart Hospital, and the high referral specialist teaching hospitals which currently operate with minimum funding.
Northwestern Province Minister Robert Liefo has disclosed that the Food Reserve Agency, FRA, has so far purchased close to 1,000 metric tons of maize out of the total of 40,000 metric tons of maize in the province for this year's marketing season. Mr. Liefo has also assured farmers that government is determined to deliver inputs early under the Farmer Input Support Program, FISP, and for the 2023-2024 farming season, where about 67,973 farmers in the province are this year expected to benefit. The provincial minister was speaking when he officiated at this year's 60th Northwestern Provincial Agricultural, Industrial and Commercial Show held at Mitukutuku Showgrounds in Solwezi. And Northwestern Provincial Agricultural, Industrial and Commercial Show Society Chairperson Marjorie Dauchi appealed to government to help them acquire title deeds for the new showgrounds so that various institutions can access plots for development. Here's a report by Nais.
It was a joyous moment for these farmers and other exhibitors at this year's Provincial Agriculture and Commercial Show in Solwezi. Indeed, hard work pays and their participation is significant in line with this year's theme, Inclusive Economic Transformation. Exhibitors are excited and want to showcase more products and services to transform the lives of the people in the province.
Bank of Zambia, we do regulate and supervise these banks to ensure that the monies which members of the public bring to the banks are very safe. So in doing that, definitely, we are including everyone, of course, and we are transforming the economy in the sense that people now are promoting that culture of savings.
So just last year, what we put into the economy is this much, 7 billion that we collected from the informal and the formal sector, helping the economy to grow.
Other than teaching our students in class in these skills, we are also busy practicing at the farm. We are training them in piggery, in poultry, in dairy, in fruit tree production. We are also training them in vegetable production.
And inclusiveness, we've displayed a lot, touching every area of the farmer and the person in the community.
Transformation happening that is inclusive in the community by supporting various initiatives in the community.
That's the two sex invest. When the sex invest, then you grow them to finger engage and then you put them in the production office. So now this is called aquaponics because we're using the same water.
Northwestern Province Minister Robert Liefo graced the show with an assurance to the farmers.
So far, FRA has purchased closer to 1,000 metric tons and is expected to purchase 40,000 metric tons of maize. Government is determined to deliver farming inputs to our farmers early.
Northwestern Provincial Agricultural, Industrial and Commercial Show Society Chairperson Marjorie Dauchi appealed to the government to help them acquire the title deed for the new showgrounds.
This showground, Honorable Minister, it is actually going to bring a lot of economic transformation should we get the support from your office. Currently, we don't have a title deed, and that's the only thing that is hindering us to ensure that we start allocating plots for development.
In a vote of thanks, Mufumbo District Show Society Chairperson Rogers Mwepu thanked government for this year's floor price and other economic interventions benefiting farmers in the province.
I want to thank you for the marketing interventions that your government and the government has put in place. I'm sure most of us farmers are quite happy with the floor price this year.
The provincial minister has since assured the Provincial Show Society of his support in facilitating the acquiring of the title deed for the new showgrounds. Krivat Tuta, reporting in Solwezi, Northwestern Province.
We'll take our second and final break. Join us for international sports news after the break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. Rain Glow, your smart irrigation partner.
On Monday, 10th July 2023, on National Matters, we take a look at human rights concerns in Zambia. Join Pastor Moses Chiluba as he hosts Ambassador Emmanuel Mwamba.
Our role is to be constructive, to help build the country. We are not hostile, we are not political enemies. For us, the rivalry that we share is just to ensure that this country is run better.
Ministry of Information and Media Director Spokesperson Tawo Kawana.
There is construction going on in every constituency in Zambia.
And Zambia Police Spokesperson Ray Hamonga.
People have been issuing derogatory statements against the head of state, defamation statement, bordering on defamation. We have just gone to pigeon like a fish, just get them and take them, bring the police, and they're arrested.
Invite others to participate through phoning on Skype, Zoom, WhatsApp, and text messages. Make a dent with us. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Every Monday to Thursday afternoon, join us for the Lunchtime Cafe. We get to bring to you emerging stories making the headlines, midday news, and we remind you of what political leaders and governance actors said back in the days in forgotten stories. We emphasize to you the importance of eating healthy foods and leading healthy lifestyles on the Nutrition Corner. Get the latest updates in sports and critical interviews. Because we value your contribution to national matters, we accord you an opportunity to share your perspectives during the viewers' reactions. The Camnet TV Lunchtime Cafe is an all-inclusive buffet. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the news. And now in international news, Johannesburg's residents woke up to a snowfall on Monday as the city and other high-lying parts of South Africa were hit by a cold front. The weather services warned of potential road closures and dangerously cold temperatures. The snowfall in Gauteng province was caused by the cold front which reached South Africa late last week, morphing into a weather system known as a cut-off low. Such weather is not completely unheard of in Johannesburg, which lies at an altitude of more than 1,700 meters, yet it is still rare. The last times snowfall was seen were in 2012 and 1996. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
Locals in Johannesburg and other high-lying parts of South Africa were surprised by a rare snowfall on Monday. The unusual conditions were caused by a cold front that hit the country late last week, with weather services warning of potential road closures and dangerously cold temperatures. It's been such a long time. I feel so happy and hope that it's going to get warmer.
In South Africa, just lovely to see the snow again, although we're freezing our butts.
Although lying at an altitude of more than 1,700 meters, Johannesburg rarely sees snow. The last two times were in 2012 and 1996. While many residents were enjoying the novelty of Monday's snowfall, the South African Weather Service warned that the icy temperatures pose a threat to street dwellers in the country, where poverty remains widespread.
The UN and African blocs have warned of the ethnic dimension to the conflict in the western region of Darfur in Sudan. Government troops are locked in conflict with RSF forces and allied militias. The fighting is concentrated mainly in Darfur and the capital Khartoum, also in the Blue Nile state near Ethiopia, as well as in South Kordofan state. On Monday, leaders of Ethiopia, Kenya, Somalia and South Sudan are to meet in Addis Ababa to discuss a way out of the crisis. The conflict in Sudan has already created 2.2 million internal refugees. Numerous ceasefires have been announced, but repeatedly ignored.
The newly elected ECOWAS chairperson Bola Tinubu reaffirmed Sunday the bloc's commitment to democracy as the best form of governance. The Nigerian president, who was in Bissau with fellow West African leaders, promised firmness in the face of coups. The 15-member bloc has witnessed a total of 5 coups in 3 member countries since 2020.
Without democracy, there's no governance, there's no freedom, there's no rule of law. We will not allow coup after coup in West African separation.
During his one-year term, the ECOWAS chair vowed, among other things, to give priority to political stability and regional economic integration. Tinubu promised to enhance engagement with authorities in Mali, Burkina and Guinea to ensure a quick return to democratic rule. Sanctions loom if this return is postponed.
It's now time for sports news. And now in sports news, the Mazabuka Golf Club says it has been motivated to continue developing the sport following the rehabilitation of the clubhouse by the Zambia Sugar Company with an injection of 240,000 kwacha raised through various stakeholders. The call comes after the Sugar Company hosted the Golf Day tournament through which 240,000 kwacha was raised towards the Junior Golf Club and the refurbishment of the club. Zambia Sugar Country Managing Director Oswald Mangwenzi says the initiative is a demonstration of the company's commitment to ensuring that young people in various communities have access to proper sporting facilities. Mangwenzi acknowledges that the company's ambition is to create a conducive environment where every child is given an opportunity to have a try at different sports activities. Part of the funds realized from the event were directed towards rehabilitation of the golf course, clubhouse chairs, an ablution block and a playing surface which were in a deplorable condition.
There were 24 companies that did contribute, each was contributing 10,000 kwacha. We were riding on the Zambia Sugar brand, which is a very good brand, and we raised 240,000 kwacha, and that's why you saw, and from that money we modernized ourselves. We said with the playing side, the chairs, we got enough chairs just to make sure that the golf course, when people come and having a nice time, what we call a 19th hole, because the golf course, a golf game is for 18 holes. There's what we call the 19th hole, which is actually the having some drinks and they can just have fun there. We did improve on the ablution blocks. I mean, with a lot of diseases coming our way, we wanted to have top class. We did invest on the course itself, our what we call tee boxes, where we start a golf game. We spent quite some money there, so there will be professionals from South Africa to come and re-rate our course after the works that we did. Then most of the money went to junior golf development. About 40% of the 240,000 went to junior golf development because we believe we need to raise the game from the youngsters.
And still in sports news, the Zambia women's national team has arrived in New Zealand for the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. The Copper Queens were received by FIFA officials before proceeding to the arrival gate, where a portion of Zambians living in that country welcomed them. Zambia arrives in New Zealand on a high after having beaten Germany by 3-2 in a fiercely contested international friendly match. Zambia is placed 77th on the FIFA ranking, while Germany is second behind the United States of America. The Copper Queens are in Group C at the biggest women's football showpiece and will tackle Japan on the 22nd of July before tackling Spain 4 days later. The team will wrap up the group campaign against Costa Rica on the 31st of July. To end Camnet television news, the headlines once again. The UPND in Lusaka accuses PF of unleashing CADRES to harass motorists and traders. A power outage disrupts court sessions at the Lusaka Magistrates Court. Private Security Companies Association concerned with a high number of criminal activities at shopping malls. In international news, rare snow stuns South Africans during cold snap. And in sports news, Copper Queens arrive in New Zealand for the FIFA Women's World Cup. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Hebrews 13 verse 5. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. Thank you again for watching Camnet News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.